Episode number 16.
I just try to be real about things. And by doing that, I think it comes through. People like that you're genuine. And that's probably the biggest compliment I get the most is the Jeff, that you're so genuine. You are who you are.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about solutions, tips, and tricks for social marketers and businesses.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. I am fired up on a rocket ship to the moon today, folks, because I have our featured guest today, Jeffrey Hayzlett. Jeffrey, are you ready to be real?
I'm ready. I'm always ready to be real. I'm nothing but real.
I love it. Jeffrey is the CEO of the Hayzlett Group, and he's also a nationally recognized speaker, author, and consultant. And on top of all that, he is actually the host, a primetime TV and radio host on C-Suite TV. Jeffrey, we've given our listeners just a little bit about you, but tell us more, my man.
Well, I bought and sold over 250 businesses in my career, well over $25 billion. I've been a Fortune 100 CMO, which is a very elite group. In fact, if you even took the Fortune, say 1,000, there are more professional athletes than there are, Fortune 1,000 officers in the world. So it's a fairly small group of people, which I've been lucky in my career to be able to be a part of. And now I'm a television host, a radio host on CBS Play.it, and as you mentioned, C-Suite TV, Bloomberg Television. We're just happy and having a blast. I live out in South Dakota part-time, mostly New York or on the plane. I mostly live on United. That's where I live for the it's on United. So, do a lot of great deal of traveling, speaking, and then, with the face like I've got on television quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because people deserve to see this good-looking face, man.
I agree.
That was a joke. Actually, that was a joke, okay? Just so we know. All right.
Oh, classic. And I have to tell you guys a real story. I actually got exposed to Jeffrey on one of my favorite shows, The Apprentice, when you were the chief marketing officer at Kodak. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, I was on the show for 3 years, the first 3 seasons of Celebrity Apprentice. We were one of the very first shows that they wanted to do. Worked with Donald, worked with Mark Burnett, the producers there, Aiden, and the whole group that puts on that show. We just had a great time. Yeah, and that was probably the entry into you really getting to see the full scale of television production, right? Yeah, well, I'd done some TV like on a local market perspective, and obviously as a chief marketing officer, I was on CNBC or Fox or from time to time other shows, about our product or services, but never in a capacity of more entertainment or commentary. And this gave me the exposure for that, which then said, hey, I can go do this. Let's go do some things. And people liked having me on because I would debate with Gene Simmons live on air or with Donald Trump or whoever it might be. We had a blast. And so, we went out and decided, well, if they can do this, I can do this. And that's what we did.
Yep, and you're the living proof of doing it right now on, like you said, C-Suite TV. You're on Bloomberg. You got all this influence created, and I'm sure that every day you have to be waking up pretty fired up.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I have a great time every day. I always say you got to have 3 things in life. One of those is you've got to have fun. The second, you got to learn new things, and the third, you got to build wealth for you and your family so that you provide shelter and food and clothing and hopefully a little bit extra on top of it. And those are the 3 things I look at. And if I don't have all 3 of those things, I'm not interested in doing them.
I love that. I love that what you say about fun too, because I think so many of us get caught up in being serious and numbers or big ideas that we don't think of just having a good old time and having some fun on in social networking.
But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with being big and big ideas if you're having fun. I've got a new book that's coming out. It's called Think Big, Act Bigger: The Rewards of Being Relentless, which will be out in September. September 2015. And, that's my whole point. My point is get your butts out there, have some fun, but do it in a big way,
Right. Nice. Now we're going to start with a Be Real story. Take us to a time or tell us a story about when you feel like maybe you failed at social marketing.
Well, you always make mistakes or don't do things right. I mean, you do things right all the time and you make mistakes all the time. That's the nature of the business. You find out certain things you do. There's never been a big, huge mistake that we've made on social media. Or, quite frankly, for that matter, where someone's going to die. And that's the way I look at it when I think about big mistakes or big problems. But, look, it's about change, adapt, or die. And that's really your three options. So as long as you're changing, adapting, and moving forward, you're not dying. And so
I love it.
Are you making mistakes along the way? Sure, you're making mistakes. Could you have done it better? Absolutely, you could have done it better, faster, cheaper, quicker, with more intensity, with more reach, more zeros behind it. And that's what you just have to learn. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And every day we wake up and we try to just get better and better and better. And that's what we do. So we go at it with an attitude of I don't know what I don't know. And as I do the things that we do, we learn, and we're in a constant state of awareness to be looking for those things that we can do to improve. And as we do that improvement, we gain and we get richer. We get to have more fun, and we learn a lot more.
Change, adapt, and die. I absolutely love that. That is so real right there. And it's the reality of the world we live in today, right? I mean, with smartphones and all the adaptation that's happened in the last 10 years, you either are, adapting to the new cool tools, or you're by the wayside, feeling like you're in a wasteland.
Well, in a heartbeat. You look at the mobile phone, it's the most personal device there is in the world. We've never seen anything like it. We used to identify with our cars, certainly with our homes, and certainly with some celebrities or TV shows or something along those lines. But really, the only other device that came close to it was our car. Our car was kind of like an extension of us, and then to some extent like our clothes, but not the interactivity. But the phone has become the most personal device there is. And I'm talking, of course, about a smartphone, not just the phone itself. I'm really talking about that smartphone. In fact, I tell people in talks, you know where your phone is more than you know where your children are.
Yeah.
And
when you lose your phone,
Yeah, exactly. Well, think about this. I always tell people, you don't have to tell me this, but if you lost your kids and your phone at the same time in the mall, which one would you go looking for first? Because I don't want them to answer, because I know what the answer really would be. You'd look for your phone first, probably.
Yep.
And we joke about that. Of course, we'd like to think that we all love our children more than our phone. There's no doubt about it. But my point is, it's that valuable.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and if you lose your children, and if you have kids, Travis, if you had kids, you'd understand if your child got out of your sight, what kind of cause or angst that causes in you. Then the phone does the same thing. Your phone does the same thing. The other day I left my mini iPad on the plane on United flight the other day, and of course, which is nice, they tracked me down and found it. And before I even realized I really had it gone, they were in contact with me. But, had I lost my phone, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it feels like you have to rebuild the whole wheel again, all your contacts and things like that. And there's obviously a lot more into, backing up the phone and kind of stuff like that, which I think there's a whole nother business into
not backing up your phone, you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just all your priceless contacts in there. And then also just the ability to connect to all the different apps you use on a daily basis as well. Everything from email, and you can get on Twitter really quick easy on there. And LinkedIn is becoming way more friendly with their native LinkedIn app. So now take us, Jeffrey, to a real moment where you feel like social media completely changed your mindset about marketing.
Well, it was back in, I was one of the first, back I want to say 2006, 2006.
Yeah.
So I was one of the first 1,000 people on Twitter. I was on there very early now, So I saw what my team had come to me and started showing me some of the things that were going on. And I went, holy crap, this is big. This is good. We've got to be doing this. And I saw it immediately that this was going to change the way that we were doing. All of us were a little ahead of our time, just like we have been with mobile marketing and everything else. But But by and large, I saw the interconnection among people very quickly, and that, I remember when people were saying, do you actually think you'll have friends on there that you've never met and have better relationships than you do with your real friends that you meet on a constant basis? And my comment to people back then was, yes, I do.
Right.
I've got friends on Facebook. I got friends on Twitter that I've never met, but yet we have connection. So,
yeah.
And it allows us, this connectivity and this interaction in a way that we would continue a relationship. Look, social media has been around forever. Let's be clear, forever. It was called the Chess Club, the Kiwanis Club, the Star Trek Trekkie Club. Unfortunately, it was just, at that time, just a small amount of people who could get together face to face or gather together. But, with the tools that we have through the internet and the apps and the things that have been developed, it's allowed us to exponentially connect with zeros behind the numbers. It's the same exact interaction that's going on. It's just that you're doing it with more. I mean, and then think about how enriching this has become for you and your family. So I'm now connected with members of my family all across the United States and, for some extent, across the globe. Because I got relatives in Belgium, I got relatives in in other places, and I now know what they're doing. I know when my stepsister's daughter or let's see, his daughter, she would be my step niece, and then her daughter is playing basketball. Are you nuts?
Right. No, it's and you're like looking at it right there.
Yeah.
Like within seconds, you're seeing exactly what they're experiencing.
So, and before, they would never have been part of my life. I've got cousins who I haven't seen for many years who are now part of my life. Yep. And we're together, and my life has been enriched and deeper because of it.
Absolutely. And one of my main missions in social is building friendship and building value. I mean, me and you are having a conversation right here. I'm feeling like I get to know the inner workings of Jeffrey Hayzlett, this person that I saw on TV for years. And now I'm sitting here talking to you via the fact that we're connected on social and the fact now we have a podcast that's going to live on the internet forever.
Exactly. Forever. No one will ever be able to escape us. That's
yes.
We will hunt you down, folks.
We are going to hunt you. Me and Jeff, we're going to get on the plane and United. You better be ready.
Yeah, United. Hey, thanks for giving them a plug. They're one of my sponsors, too.
Absolutely. United Airlines, a wonderful airline, especially international travel. I had nothing but success.
Hey, they're all pretty good. When you think about it, now think about this. Now, some people get bent out of shape and get huffy and puffy about, they didn't get nuts or they didn't get this or that. Look, they got you there safely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the primary thing. They took off. They flew basically a metal tube filled with gas and people and landed it safely, ignited it, and flew it for thousands of miles and then landed you down safely without blowing up. I think that's a pretty damn good thing. And then anything above that is pretty much gravy. Okay?
I would have to agree. Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, we all kind of get a little impatient when there's a flight delay. Oh, the plane's being fixed. We've kind of heard all the excuses in the world, and there's a moment we are frustrated. Let's be real.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have to get to a meeting, you got to get to something important, say a big business meeting or something like that, and all of a sudden your flight's delayed and just throws everything for a little wing. But it's like you said, you're flying across the world, thousands of miles, have the blessing to be able to do it, and
no
if
one
it's
died.
delayed,
and no one.
They're going to get you there tomorrow. If it's delayed today, they're going to get you tomorrow. It's not like you're never going to get there. It's the blessing that we have today. And it's exciting for the future, too, with entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and things like that, with the new technologies that I think will be developed within planes and how we even fly.
Well, there's a lot to go. I mean, and there's some good, smart people who will help us make it happen.
Yep, absolutely. So now we're going to enter the mindset of Jeffrey Hayzlett with some B-realisms. Jeffrey, in the perfect world, where do you dream of living?
I'm doing it. What are you kidding me?
Yes.
I'm in South Dakota. So we have a couple of places that we live, and we're lucky to be able to do that. Unlike a lot of other people, but at the same time, I'd be happy in just one place too. So let's be clear about that. So we call, my wife is Tammy. We call her Tammy. We call her Tammy. And We've been married now for 33 years next month, and engaged for 2 years prior to that, so 35 years. And I always tell her that because I want credit for those extra 2 years.
Absolutely.
And so we've been together for now 35 years, and we call South Dakota our home. That's the way we refer to it. Because usually, as I was working and doing other work, we always had another home, which was a work home. But we call that home, and then we call our home, if that makes sense. And so South Dakota is the place that I consider the greatest place in the world to live. And it's just like I'm sure where you live and other people live is the greatest place they want to live. And then New York City is my other home right now. Although I've done it in San Francisco, I've done it in Georgia, I've done it in, my real home state, birth state, West Virginia, Ohio. But I consider my other home New York, and I love New York. I love the passion of the city. I love the fact that you can do anything, and with a phone call, you can order anything in the world that you would love to have. But then I love coming home to South Dakota, where I happen to be sitting right now as I'm doing this interview. This is the place that I go back and get my energy. This is the place that I just adore to just be here. I have a home on a hill overlooking a river that's in my backyard. I own a bridge. I own a bridge, the very first bridge ever built in South Dakota, back in 1893. And someone's at one asked me what happens if it falls down. I said, well, then I own a dam. But and I have I just bought another 15 acres. I'm planting grass on it, so just something else I can mow. Not so much mow, but I'm building habitat for some of the animals that are around my area. I'm putting in what's called switchgrass. So you can get a sense for I'm really tied to the land here, and I love that. But at the same time, I'm just as at tune in a board of directors of a major, Fortune 10 company, quite frankly,
right. You've seen it. You get both experiences, and that's really awesome. And the ability to be able to do that. And a lot of entrepreneurs probably don't think that way. They probably just, if they got to, work in New York, they probably just think I got to work in New York, and they get a place there. And you have the ability to have, those both places where you get that, recharging of your energy and things you love. It sounds like you love the land and having some space. Obviously in New York, you don't have any space. No,
that's the cool thing. I mean, I got to tell you. Yeah, I have 6 plates, 6 knives, 6 spoons. That's what we laugh about, and we don't need anything else other than that.
Right.
And so we we chuckle about that a lot.
Keep it simple in a way, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So, how do you typically like to start your day?
I get up fairly. Fairly early. I get up around 6 o'clock usually. Yeah. And unless I've got to get up a lot earlier than that, I go to bed very late typically. But when I get up, first thing I do is start checking emails. I like to send out birthday messages to people. So I look at whose birthday it is. I send them personally. I sit and do that, quite frankly, in bed for about an hour. Just checking up, reading the news, looking at my newspapers on my device, and checking headlines, and then sending out anything I need to do. I try to keep my emails to less than 10 in my inbox at any given time.
Gotcha.
So I'm fairly decent about delegating. I could be better at it. I'm trying to get much better, and I'm now at a point in my life where I'm having to really just not see things like I used to, which it means requests, things like that. I just can't. I just don't have the time, and so it's got its good bad points. So but yeah, that's how I start my morning. So.
I like what you said about the birthday thing, because I think that's one of the hidden gems of social networking. And I personally actually do it too on my Facebook, as well as I'll even do it sometimes on my LinkedIn. Yeah. We're just thanking some of your buddies and friends, people that you went to high school with.
I do it every day on LinkedIn. Yeah. I do it on LinkedIn. These are, people are always like, I get, not that I'm somebody big, but they'll say, oh my God, you just made my day. You're a TV guy, blah, blah, blah.
100%.
Why? And I just go, well, no, but this is your big day. Happy birthday to you. I mean, and I write them back, of course. Why wouldn't I do that? I just think it's cool. Yeah.
It's so authentic, Jeff. I love that you're doing that. I think it's one of the most cool things to hear from a top level CEO, someone that doesn't have to do that. Let's be real.
Who doesn't like to get a message on their birthday?
Oh, I think it's, like I said, as someone that is involved in social media, I think it's one of the coolest things that you can do for someone, to be really honest with you, as a personal message on their special day, or when they've gotten a job or something like that, or they're celebrating an anniversary on LinkedIn or something cool. And you know what? It doesn't take that much time, right? I mean, it really doesn't. And it goes a long ways. Yeah.
I like being human.
Too many top level management are not human, like you mentioned. I mean, they think of themselves on a pedestal higher than everyone else, obviously, and that they're.
I just call those guys a pain in the ass. Who wants to be? I don't want to be like that. I mean, who wants to be like that? That just sucks.
No, thank you. I'll tell you that. But I do love that. And those that are listening today, take an effort in your social media and look at the people that are having a birthday or celebrating something special, and send them a genuine message like Jeff, because you never know how far that goes for that person. And you'll think about that person maybe for a long time. And it's awesome, just an awesome thing to do. Bottom line, it's just an awesome thing to do with your social. So tell us, Jeff, what is some of the best advice you've ever received about marketing or social?
Well, I think there's two things I tell you. I always talk about the 4 E's, but let me just tell you the two pieces that I like about most about being social. One is be authentic, just be yourself. I think that's the key thing. And by being authentic of who you are, you don't have to remember anything. And you can tell who people are a little fake, posting this, doing this. I just try to be real about things, and by doing that, I think it comes through. People like that you're genuine, and that's probably the biggest compliment I get the most, is the Jeff, that you're so genuine. You are who you are. Okay.
Yep.
And because I said, it's tough enough being me. Why would I want to be somebody else? So that's one. And the second is just be transparent. And I do that in my real life, either on social media or off. I'll just, it's like in the middle of the meeting, I was with some of the staff today, and I looked over to one of the gals and I said, Ashley, I like your hair. You just recently did something new to it. Just in the middle of the meeting, because I just noticed it, because I just blurted out. Well, some people would find that kind of weird, but no, I'm just saying what it is. You never have to know where I stand on issues or things, and by being transparent, I do that. On my social media, if I find something someone says, I just say, I think it's bullshit, or I think that's, or I'll tell somebody when they're being derogatory in the post, like down below, like they'll read comments, like somebody will post something. I posted something about some gay marriages here recently, which I'm like, well, what's the big deal? Two people love each other. My God, with everybody trying to get divorced and everything else, we got people who want to love each other and get married. I don't give a crap what their sex is. Get them together, because we need more of that in our lives. And so these people went off and started calling them all kinds of names. And I'm going, stop it right now. You have no right to do that. And you have to be nice here. And if you're not nice, I'll kick your ass. I'll kick you off. And then they, of course, they go after me. Well, who do you think you are? So, well, it's my freaking page. If you don't like it, get the hell off.
Get out of here. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's okay. I think, you just say that, look, there's no room for that. And I have very low tolerance for bigotry and stupidity, quite frankly. If I can understand if you're just genuinely ignorant, that's a different thing. Then let's help you get smarter about those things, or to at least get educated so you can have whatever opinion it is, even if it's opposite of mine. But be respectful of other people.
Respect. Yeah. Peace, love, and unity, man. I mean, I think the world needs more of that. And I love what you said about
I like a little tension, though, too. There's nothing wrong with a little tension, because
I think it's good to be transparent.
Yeah.
I never think you should hold back your thoughts or and there's certain topics, obviously, we know, politics and religion, that sometimes people can get heated about, obviously. And, the biggest thing in the world today is that if everyone could just love each other a little more, take that time, like you mentioned, to be authentic. You don't have to censor your voice. You don't have to, pretend what you need to say. You just need to be authentic to what you want to say and say it. And then also, like you mentioned about being transparent too, where you're just being real. You're just not even worried about, I need to censor this, or, put out your thouts. Too many of us
I don't censor. Yeah, I don't censor. Why? I mean,
why?
Yeah, exactly. Now, but I try not to be too disrespectful. I'll be straight up front about it. I'm not,
right.
If I have an opinion about something and it's opposite, I mean, I've got great friends who are just total, right wingers, left wingers, whatever. And there's some things I'm right wing on, some things I'm left wing on,
And it's a good personality trait to be able to just accept people, and just accept them for who they are and their viewpoints. And I think on social, it's just rapidly it happened, like you mentioned. It used to be like this chess club, and people have to accept each other and that. But now it's like everyone's connected. It can be quickly connected, but you also have to realize that some people are not going to have the same viewpoint. And if they don't, are being rude and, like you mentioned, are being hateful, hey, get out of here. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Block, goodbye, go do this to someone else. There's always going to be a percentage of people trying to hate and trying to stir up the junk. But I love what your authenticity, because you are that level of management where people do highly respect you. Like myself, I highly respect you. Your career is phenomenal. And like I said, I was a young marketing college student watching the show that you were on when you were in Kodak, and I was just like blown away, like, holy moly, this has got to be the coolest job ever. But now here we're talking, so it's just cool how things all come around full circle. So now we're going to take us to the hot seat. This is going to be some final answers with you, where you can share some phenomenal resources and just some real talk answers.
Good, bring it.
Jeffrey,
bring it.
Absolutely. I love your honesty today too, by the way. Jeffrey, be real. In the perfect world right now, if you could go have dinner with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Well, it'd be my dead relatives. To be honest.
Nice.
Always to be able to see them, but I like to do it with my present relatives too. At the end, hey, look, when you're all dead and done and it's all over, nobody cares about you more than your family, quite frankly. So that's who I'd like to be with.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I definitely have my grandfather that I would love to have just a nice, frank conversation with and get to know where he stood, because he was out traveling a lot. I didn't get to know him that much, but like you mentioned, family is everything at the end of the day. So do you have a favorite internet tool, app that you like to use on a daily basis, like Buffer or something like that?
No,
that
it's
like
a lot of them.
Share?
There are. I love Expense Cloud. I love to, because it's an easy thing for me to do. There's a new app that I just started using called Glide. I love that app.
Yes.
I use Open Table like crazy, as you can probably imagine. Just found another new one that I really like called My Media, which organizes all my photos and collections. So those are probably the ones of course, Uber, in terms of, apps like that. But yeah, I'm using apps all the time.
Yep. Now, My Media, is that an iPhone or an Android app?
I don't know. No, they're on Android. Yeah, I was going to say I don't think they're on Android, but yeah, no, I know they're on Android because they're big in. I know they're big in some other countries outside the U.S. and it's called My Media, MI Media, and it's a really cool app.
That's cool. I'm going to check it out just for organizing photography and all your media and content you're taking.
Yeah, and Glide allows me to do video texting.
Oh, wow.
Which I love, because I've just recently started losing sight in one of my eyes, and so I'm having difficulty seeing and type, So to be able to do video is I can't wait, I just couldn't wait, and so I just click on it, tape it, and then send it, and it's easier than sending a regular video message that sits on my phone. This doesn't sit on your phone; it just sits out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of hosted through the app and it just sends it out.
Correct.
Awesome. That's cool. Glide. So we'll put those in the show notes too for all those that are listening that are interested in more information on that. Do you have a favorite book that you like to read or listen to that you could share with our listeners?
I'm a prolific reader, and I average about 2 books a week.
Wow.
Because I sit and read, over vacations and stuff like that. So I read a lot, and then I usually read on the plane quite a bit. But my favorite book that I love to read is called a book called The Old Man and the Boy by Robert Rourke. And I have certain authors that I like, and I've read everything that they've ever written. So, I'm just now my mind's going blank. But like everything from, mystery kind of things like Frederick Forsyth to what's the guy that wrote about 115 books? But a whole series on, he wrote North and South, and his mind escapes me right now, but he's got a whole series of books like that. And Rutherford, who wrote Gotham and New York and about London, and I love those kinds of books. But business books, I always love to read, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the old classics. And so every few years I go back and reread all the old sales, what I call the sales classics. Mandino, Zig Ziglar, guys like that, Norman Vincent Peale, that most of the people that are listening here haven't even heard of because they've long since died, but some of the greatest, thought leaders of any century, quite frankly, when it comes to modern day selling, networking, and connecting. And it's just as relevant now as it was back in the early 20s or when they first wrote those books, or the 40s or the 50s. So I love books like that. And I love books that tell real stories like, Barbarians at the Gate, The Takeover, R.J.R. Reynolds Nabisco, or, Michael Lewis's books, or, books that are talking about what happened about the deals, as they were going on and the things behind them. Because to me, it's like watching a soap opera. And I love to watch those things and understand how they did the deals.
Yeah, it probably helps you with your future deals, right?
Well, it always helps. You always learn something. I mean, what you always want to do, whether you're listening to a great speaker or even a bad speaker, quite frankly, or you're watching a show or listening to a podcast like this or reading a book, is what are the keepers? Terry Paulson, Dr. Terry Paulson, great speaker, and he's the one that taught me that word. He goes, when you're in a speech, you're doing a speeches, or you're listening and you're sitting in the audience, and that's where it came from him. What are the keepers? What do you write down? What's the 2 or 3 points? Imagine if you sit through a whole series of seminars and you kept 2 or 3 points and then go back and read those and keep those in a book somewhere that you go back. And so you want to look for the keepers, and I'm always looking for keepers.
Nice. Look for the keepers. And I think that's part of going back and rereading too, like you mentioned, because sometimes your mind might not be ready for that thought that was there when you read it, but then now you're ready for it because you've maybe experienced more life. Maybe you're just more pertinent to what you're doing in life. So I love that. And I love that you're so avid on reading, because I think that's a goal for all entrepreneurs, to really just get yourself into the thoughts of those that have passed. I think that those books that are timeless, they'll stand the test of time, and the strategies will apply no matter what era we're in. So now take us, do you have a skill that you'd like to master in the future? Do you want to become a MC? Are you looking to produce music? Is any wild and crazy dreams that you have in the future?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, look, I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah, you're doing your dream.
Here's the deal. I've financially been able to achieve what I want to do. I've been able to achieve it from, positioning credits. I'm in 5 Hall of Fames, about to be inducted into one of the 6 Hall of Fames. And I know that there's another one sitting out there. They want another Hall of Fame. So you sit there and look at those things and go, that means something, but okay, got it. And so I can do anything I want. I mean, we're only limited by what you want. By what your own limitations put in front of you. People come to me all the time and say, well, I can't do that because of the budget. Who said? Change the budget. Change the priorities. Change it around. Do what you want. Now, I'm never going to become a supermodel. Well, okay. Well, I don't want to be a supermodel. Yeah, I'm a super chunky size supermodel. That's what I'll. But the only thing I hope to do in the future, quite frankly, is I just became a grandfather.
Nice.
And I'm sure I'll be a grandfather a few times over if my children do what they need to do, or should do, which what comes naturally. And if they don't, I'll be the grandfather to just, to the one I have right now. But I just hope to be, that's my next big task is, I'll still do the other stuff. I'm going to do some more TVs. I got shows. I got another book that's going to be coming out, as I mentioned, in addition to the other 2 books I've already got. And, and I'll do some other stuff and we'll be successful at them, and I'll screw some things up. But in the end, I guess my next big thing is to just be a real good grandfather.
That is awesome. And I'll have to tell you that coming from someone that had an awesome grandfather, he taught me everything. We put together on our first musical show together, and he's been everything to me, to be honest with you. And he has had a stroke, so it's a little bit different in communication, but the love that I feel from him is unreal. I cannot tell you, whether it's talking to him on the phone or when I get a chance to go see him out there in Phoenix, it is unreal, the love that a grandfather has for that, for their son or daughter, or their grandson or daughter. And that's just awesome that you say that it has nothing to do with professional. It's just really down to what matters most to you, and that's family.
Yeah, exactly.
So a couple more questions. Sure. If you could develop any new business in the world, what would it be?
I've got our mindset. I'm not going to tell you which ones they are because we're in the middle of doing them. But, any business I want to start, I can go start. And it's just a matter of when I want to start them and how I want to start them. And if I don't get to them, it wasn't meant to be. So, but I do have a couple of other businesses that we are going to be starting or doing. But right now, the business that's got most of my attention is building the things that we've got today in our media properties. My CBS Play.it podcast, which is all business with Jeffrey Hayzlett. We're building that. We've hit 18 million tweets last week alone on that show.
Wow.
Then our television network, which was called C-Suite TV. We have 5 television shows today, and we'll build that up, and that will become the premier network for the most powerful network of business executives in the world. And we encourage people to come by and watch it. Yeah, we own it. Yeah, we own it. We saw that. I was doing a show for Bloomberg, and about the 3rd show in, we hit more views online than we did by broadcast. And that when you're in the millions of viewers, you pay attention to that. And so what we did was we moved that to a digital presentation. So it's on demand, so you can watch it any given time you want. So it's about creating great content and making it happen.
And that's mostly with all different levels of CEOs and management, all different levels of business. Is that correct?
Exactly right. Yeah. So, the C-Suite network, we're focused on those executives that are VP and higher. But that doesn't mean managers, directors, and people who are even down to interns can't learn from that. They certainly can.
Right. Awesome, Jeffrey. I really appreciate your time today. Can you give us one last real talk thought? And then also, how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Well, you can if you can find me easy. Hayzlett, Hayzlett. Jeffrey Hayzlett. You just find us anywhere you want. Just go look and find. And you can reach me. I'm on Twitter that way. I'm on LinkedIn that way. I'm on Facebook that way. Instagram that way. So if you can't find me, you've got to be, pretty slow. So, so that's it. That my biggest advice to anyone here, leaving you with a final thought for the day is, saddle up and ride. There's nobody stopping you from doing anything you want to do. It's just a matter. In fact, if there is a person that's stopping you, look in the mirror. You're likely to find him.
Well, you've been hanging out with my man, Jeffrey Hayzlett and Travis Too Tall and Huff. I want to thank you for your time and keep being real.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by realtimeoutsource.com, your social media management service for success.